Mr. Christopher Peterson. I'm Empress 14 at Vancouver, British Columbia, the Imperial Court of British Columbia, the Imperial Court of Canada, better known as the Dragon Slayer. Easter was the first female emperor, and more than that, she was the first straight female emperor. I don't think we've had a straight female emperor since then. I know a few other courts have had it, but certainly Vancouver, in its diversity, and of course she was Japanese. So at the same time, you had this completely different diverseness, in our court, for sure. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Just after me, Mariah came, like Mama Karen and Gina, they were both transgender, one transsexual, one transgender. We've had Black, we've had Asian, we've had Indian, you name it, we've had it, which I think is what makes Vancouver one of the most important courts, probably out of the whole system that there is that diversity that we've had across the board with our emperor and empresses. I had some unique ones. My princes were the waitresses, which was a tough drag group. It was Grandma, Joe Boy. Joe Boy was actually an emperor from Edmonton that had moved to Vancouver and became this tough drag queen, and Robin. There was the three of them. Easter had made them their princess. And of course, my imperial crown prince was Mariah Lenoir. Little did I know I was going to cause the monster that it became, but she's my monster and I love her, so. The quick story was I started doing drag when I was 18 years old in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And when the club there, the Turret, closed, Kiki and I, a friend of mine, hitchhiked across Canada in drag. I'm actually writing a screenplay about it now. And we ended up in Calgary, and then we hiked over the mountains and I went to Vancouver. In 1984, I won Mr. Alternate of Vancouver at the Orpheum Theatre. And it kind of launched my drag career, as they say. I think I was about 21 years old at the time. Well, while I was in Vancouver, I actually went to Flo and Mork's ball. So it was the very first ball I ever went to. The amazing thing was I actually was friends with Sean, who ran for emperor. He didn't win, ND, but we were part of their entrance. So it was the first time I kind of saw the whole court system was first in Calgary. Calgary didn't treat me very nicely, dear, but that's all right. Vancouver did in exchange. And then, of course, I think I did an entrance for leather, Northbound Leather at Rochelle's ball. And that would have been in, 84, somewhere around there. I think I was Mr. Alternate at the time, I hadn't quite got it yet. I also helped Mrs. Wiggins with her campaign when she ran for Miss Gay Vancouver. So I certainly, the minute I came to Vancouver, they welcomed me with open arms, and I just started, running down the street, as they say. Well, the fondest memories is there was a group of youngins. There was a bunch of us that were all in our early 20s that were not just getting started in drag, but just getting started in Vancouver. And for some fabulous reason, Mrs. Wiggins won Miss Gay Vancouver. I won Mr. Alternate. He was first runner-up. Stephanie Blaze won on Miss Gay Vancouver right after that, and then I won Empress. So it was just and then Mariah, and just Venus and the rest of us. All of a sudden, all the new girls just kind of hit all at once. Part of it was that the city was looking for new girls at the time too. So I have some friends that they weren't Empresses. Unfortunately, I ran with Flora in Calgary. I ran with Lulu in Edmonton, Dora Jar in Portland, Oregon. All three of them have passed. So unfortunately, I was all friends with them up until they did leave the planet. But Marcy still in Portland. I know Champagne in Portland and Mr. Bill, certainly I still know a lot of people on the circuit. I haven't been on the circuit in a very, very, very long time. I think the last time I went to a coronation, it was in Toronto, and that was probably about 6, 7, 8 years ago now. So it's been a while, but The funniest thing is, when you do go, if there is any of the old gang there, you pick up right where you left off. Well, to tell you honestly, I went when it was a bit of a split court that year, because Adrian de Vandervoog ran for the second time. It was the first time that an Empress in Vancouver was going to be running for the second time. And a bunch of people came to me in the city and said, would you run against her for Empress? And I said, okay. So actually, Easter was on her side, and I had my own side. So in a sense, the two of us, because we won opposite, brought the community together. Up until then, the community was a little on the split side. And don't want to dish my fellow Empresses, but nobody since Drew had really traveled very much, since Dee Dee. And when they did, there was a little bit of controversy that happened. So, and my mama, Tiny, God rest her soul, she just passed away, God bless him, I love him to death, didn't travel at all. So I was kind of the first Empress in 4 years that kind of went on the circuit. And, we were lucky enough, Easter won Best Costume in Calgary, we won Best Entrance in Calgary, I won Best Costume in Portland, we won Best Entrance in Bellingham, and then we won Best Entrance in San Francisco. We won the big prize, kind of thing. So I kind of, both with Easter and I and the court at the time, we kind of brought back the glory of what Vancouver used to be in the 70s. I don't want to get into the scandal of it. We did replace my president and my vice president. So at the time when the ball came around, I only had a treasurer and Craig Russell was Craig's. He owned Doll and Pennies. I'm trying to remember his title. I think he was secretary. And Robin Bankstead, who was then doing me. So I only had 3 on my executive left. So because there was money missing, we kind of, whatever money we had, we kind of left to the next court. I know we're supposed to go down to 0 because we're one of those non-profit charities, but at the time I think we just passed the money on to Mariah and Polyester so that they had a better head start than kind of what I did. Challenges during my year, the people who are still around know them. And I think that they can stay where they were. It was an experience of a lifetime. I wish I was a little bit older. I wish I was a little bit wiser. I wish I was a little bit richer at the time, but I wasn't. But I also wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for that experience. And I'm very grateful Vancouver let me have it. It's celebrated well, I'm saying now that it's celebrating its 25th year because I was out of work for 2 years like everybody else with COVID. But it was started in 1996 in Toronto at Tallulah's at Buddies in Bad Times. And I've been doing a similar show, not the same show, but a very similar show to it. Of course, Eyecons, Eyecons, Connie your eyes. And at the same time doing the biggest Eyecons, gay Eyecons in the world. I opened the show as Marilyn Monroe. I do an opening monologue kind of as myself. Welcome everyone. Blah, 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 blah. The next character up is Reba McEntire. Hi everyone. And then Jim Rivers, give me George. Oh, sure, let's do this. And after that's a little, but not how, folks. And from that, it's really nice. Okay, so good to see you. It's wonderful to be here at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. I love you. Not as much as I love myself, but I love you too. And then, who comes after Liza? Oh, Cher, oh my God, you can't do a drag show without Cher. Look at him, those cheekbones match. Oh, oh. And then after that, the whitest Tina Turner you ever saw in your whole life. And right at the moment, I'm closing the show as the legendary Miss Judy Garland. Because you cannot close a drag show without somebody singing, Somewhere in the rainbow. There you go. That's a little of that for you, Dan. Well, I go by Mr. Christopher Peterson on stage for a reason. When I was growing up, being a drag queen was a dirty thing. People didn't, it was considered not professional. So I grew up with Mr. Charles Pierce, Mr. Jim Bailey, and Mr. Craig Russell. So I wanted to be the next one. I wanted to be Mr. Christopher Peterson. A lot of that also has to do with when you're working for a straight audience, they go, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Christopher Peterson. When the curtain opens up, a beautiful, glamorous woman is, I go, what the fuck is that? You know, kind of thing. So I think I'm from that old school. Have the right people around you. You know, I had some amazing, and I don't want to get all teary-eyed because they're gone, but I had some amazing people around me. And that's all that really counts in life. It's not just friends, but, you know, these are this is extended family, you know, and so just have your people around you.